Hello and welcome everyone. Today we've got a special guest in the channel, which I guess most of you or all of you know if you haven't lived under a rock or behind the moon. It's Jarrod from Jarrod Tech. Hello, Jarrod.
Hey, how's it going?
Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad you can take the time to do this. I'm really excited about this. I've prepared some questions for you and also asked a few questions to my subscribers that they have for you. And yeah, we can just start with questions if that's okay for you.
Yeah, ready to go. Let's do it.
Okay, the first question is actually kind of a bit of unfair, and I get if you don't want to kind of answer it, but do you have like a favorite gaming laptop or laptop brand in general? And if not, what, in your opinion, would be the most reliable gaming laptop brand from your point of view?
Yeah, so I guess I don't have a favorite brand because at the end of the day, like every single brand is capable of making good products and crap products.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'm always looking to evaluate everything on a case by case basis. So I don't care what brand it's from. I care whether the laptop itself is good. Now, that said, I did recently do a bunch of like end of year summary videos, like top five and ranking every single laptop
Yeah,
we
seen
tested
them.
this year. And based on that, it would seem that generally Asus and Lenovo were ahead compared to most other brands. Again, that wasn't always the case. Both of them had things that I didn't like, but yeah, I suppose compared to other brands, they seem to be doing pretty well. But I mean, there's also a lot of other things that I can't test. So like both of those brands are huge global companies, and you see people on Reddit complaining about support. That type of thing is like always going to vary between regions and stuff. And
Exactly, yeah.
depending on what the problem is, there's going to be like all sorts of other issues. Can it get it fixed? You have to get parts shipped, and there's a huge scope, but I don't think there's really a right or wrong answer. But
Yeah.
based on the stuff we tested this year, it would seem like Asus and Lenovo are doing pretty well.
Yeah, yeah. You can have good and bad experiences with like every brand, and it's really hard to tell. And you have to really like look at the laptop itself and compare it from laptop to laptop. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks. I know that you have talked about this issue before concerning the RTX 4050, 4060, and 4070 mobile this year, and the voltage limit that seems to cap the performance at around 100 watt. Do you think that's a stupid idea by Nvidia to do this? And do you think that, because people often ask me, do you think this will ever be fixed? And I say I don't
Yeah.
think so. I don't think this. I think this is intended to be like that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a question I get asked all the time as well. Because, I mean, I guess technically last year, I'm pretty sure the RTX 3060 got boosted by like 10 watts compared to the year before. So maybe they're thinking, oh, VBIOS update. Any day now, it'll come and give us some more performance. I don't think that's going to happen. So after I made that video, I had a meeting with Nvidia where they basically explained
Okay.
the reasoning behind that. I can't remember all the specific technical details, but the summary was along the lines of, we've got this voltage limit in place so that we can ensure longevity of the chips and
That's
that they're not
interesting.
going to cook themselves, basically, and result in dead laptops. So it's more to improve reliability. And the reason that sort of thing is, well, they told me that the reason they don't mind leaving that unlocked on the desktop side is it's much easier if you've got a problem with your desktop GPU. You can just take it out and put a new one in. But with a laptop, if that happens, the whole thing's it's bricked.
Okay.
You can't use it. So they want, or at least they told me, they want it to be more reliable for the laptop side of things, which, I could see making sense. But at the same time, I think the way they went about marketing them wasn't great. If they just said, these are 100 watt parts, everyone would have been like, oh, okay, they're not as, I guess a lot of people would have seen that, 100 is less than 140 last year. So when we're missing out on performance. So I guess either way, people would have complained about it. But I suppose that way, at least, I think it would have been less misleading
Exactly. Yeah.
in gaming workloads specifically, because outside of gaming workloads, yeah, technically you can argue maybe 140, but yeah, for like gaming laptops, I think they shouldn't really be listed as 140 watt parts.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, it's misleading to the people, and I mean it's great that they are that efficient at 100 watt and they behave like they should, and they have the improvement over last generation. But still, it's for the customer, it's super weird and confusing. Yeah. Okay, but that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think sorry.
Yeah, no, go on.
There's a bit of a delay here for people watching on the other side of the world.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because I'm in Germany and he's in Australia, so it's quite the difference.
Yeah. So what was I going to say? It was about the 4050. Oh yeah. So I think those parts are actually quite efficient at lower power limits. But I think that's something that Nvidia did poorly of advertising. They were too focused on DLSS 3 improvements, which I mean, I think DLSS 3 is a positive overall. I've played games with it, and I would use it on rather than off if I've got it available.
Me too, yeah.
But that said, the way they marketed it, I think, wasn't the best. Like, they could have just let the GPUs, like, I don't know, just the fact that you can have like say an Asus Zephyrus G14 with a 4090. Obviously, it's a pretty silly configuration, but it is something that exists. The fact that should, in theory, destroy like a MSI Titan from last gen with a 3080 Ti is kind of ridiculous, even though the 4090 isn't going to be anywhere near max power. Like, if they just used that as an example to show that 40 series is still quite efficient at lower power levels, I think it would have got a much better reception than just, forcing DLSS 3 on everyone and being like, this is where all the games come from.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, I see. Yeah, I think so too, okay. Now, because I'm also testing a lot of games, and I know you test a lot of games, this is something that most people don't really understand and they can't relate, but what are the most common issues when you test games, like crashes, driver issues, weird behaviors that people probably don't even think about because they don't have to test so many games?
Yeah, well, the first thing that came to mind is when you accidentally have something set incorrectly and then you realize, and then you have to redo like 2 days of work.
Yeah.
That's not great.
Yeah.
That's only happened a few times, but when it happens and you've spent like 2 12-hour days benchmarking and you have to redo it, you're kind of just like, oh, why am I bothering?
Yeah.
No,
exactly.
So I guess double checking the settings helps prevent that. But probably the thing that annoys us the most is just every game menu settings have different quirks. Like, people playing the game probably won't notice because they'll just set their settings and play the game. But when you're going through all the settings and you try to change things and go to different presets, turn DLSS on, off, just every game has a different thing you need to be aware of. Like, in one game, if you change a setting, maybe it'll turn DLSS on, or it'll turn it off, or it'll turn ray tracing on, or there'll be some bug where you have to do something in a specific order. Or
exactly, yeah.
There's just like all this random stuff that you don't really find out until you start testing the games. And it's the type of thing that you can't even like bug report, because like developers aren't going to care that, oh no, like 20 benchmarkers are affected by this problem. It's high priority.
Do you know about the thing that happens in Cyberpunk recently, that FSR turns itself on even when you turn it off? Which happened to Linus Tech Tips, which caused them they had wrong numbers showing this was something that Games Nexus was calling out on them. You know about that problem in Cyberpunk?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That kind of thing. It just, I guess for us, because we mainly focus on, we do comparisons. But I was going to say we mainly do the same 3 games in our laptop reviews these days. So, if we test a 4080 laptop, we have a bunch of other data that we know we have other 4080s that we can compare against and be like, oh, is this wildly different? Is there something obviously wrong here? Or is it about where we would expect?
Yeah.
So that's pretty useful. But when you're doing like a 25 game comparison between 2 GPUs, it is a bit harder. And then, it gets to the point where you test all 25 games out, you make the graph, and then you can kind of see the distribution of the data, and then it's kind of obvious if there's like a super big outlier, and you'll be like, oh, I need to go back and revisit that because it's kind of suspicious that it's sticking out compared to everything else. And then it'll either be the same and it's just a weird result, or hopefully you fix the problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just as you said, I think they don't really care because most people aren't really affected by this. It's just something that you start to notice if you start testing games over like 100 times. And yeah, okay. So considering that, do you have like a game that you hate testing the most?
Whew. Yeah, probably Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is that
installing takes forever.
Well, we have so I have like a game SSD that has all the files on it. But yeah, it still takes a while for it to go through and verify, like, what is it, 150 gig or something? I honestly can't remember, actually. Maybe it's way less. It's a lot. The problem is it's like 200,000 small individual files, so it takes a long time to check every single one. I guess that's what it's doing. But what happens in my desktop, I don't know if this is just me, but every time I change a piece of hardware, like a graphics card, if I try to open the game, it just instantly crashes. Okay. So I have to go through like 3 different folders and delete a bunch of stuff out of like app data and my games and just a bunch of files that the game leaves behind every single time.
Okay.
So like when I was doing that big GPU comparison recently of like all laptop and desktop GPUs, it was really annoying for that because like that's like 30 times I have to go through and find the right folders and delete. And yeah, it's just a bit annoying.
Okay, yeah, I get that. Okay, yeah. All right. Do you test Red Dead Redemption 2? But you don't.
Yeah.
You do.
We test that, but we use the game's benchmark.
Yeah, me too. But it's like for me, it's the most annoying game to test for some reason because I just hate the menu and I hate the fact that Rockstar refuses to have presets. You know, you have to go through every setting. The menu sucks. Yeah, absolutely.
It's slightly better if you used to like misclick one of the like menu buttons. It would like apply your settings, and it was annoying.
Yeah.
But there's also things where I think this is fixed now, but before, if you changed, I think it was the water quality setting, you would have to restart the game to apply that. But all the other settings were fine.
Okay.
And then we would have to end up restarting the game like 3 times just to apply all our settings before we could even get started.
Okay. Yeah, that's just my most hated game because it always takes me like 2 hours to just set it up and get it running. I don't know. I'm unlucky.
Yeah, it's not one of our. It's definitely not one of our favorites. That's for sure.
Yeah. Now, if someone asks you about a laptop, is this laptop any good? And you've tested it like a month ago. Do you still have all the details in mind, or do you have to look it up?
Yeah, most of the time I would have to look it up. I mean, it depends on what the question is. Like, if it's something that really stood out about that model, like, does this have good battery life? And, you know, if it had amazing battery life, I'm probably going to remember it. But if it was just like an average result, I'd have to check. But most of the time, I will just open up. So every video I do is fully scripted because so I script the videos, but when I do the on-camera parts, I don't script that. I have like dot points, and then afterwards I go through and I turn it into a script because I like uploading English captions to YouTube so that people can translate it. So what I'm trying to say is, by the time the review is done, I have a full transcript of the video, so it's really easy for me just to open that and like control F it for whatever someone's asking, and then I can see exactly whatever I said about it. Okay, it's good to know that you don't remember everything because I would like, okay, how is he doing that? Okay, no. So I know you've done the top 5 gaming laptops and the best budget laptops and stuff, but which laptop surprised you most this year? In terms you didn't expect that it would be that good. If there's any. Yeah, I'm just thinking. So 2 things come to mind. The first is, Gigabyte's Aorus 17X, and that only surprised me in that last year I thought it was garbage, and this year it was actually pretty good. So that was nice that they could turn that around. The other thing that surprised me was probably with Lenovo's Legion Slim 5 14-inch OLED. Name's too long. I liked that it basically performs the same as the largest 16-inch model. So it goes back to what we were talking about earlier with like the lower wattage 40 series parts. So it doesn't matter if you've got like a 40, 60, 100 watt in a 16-inch laptop or a 14-inch laptop. You're going to get the same performance, and then you don't need the bigger machine, which I think is why next year we're going to start seeing a lot more brands going to like thinner designs for 4070 and below, because I think they're going to realize, hey, we don't need these big laptops because the GPUs actually only go up to 100 watts. I think a lot of them were probably caught off guard when Nvidia was like, oh, they're 140 watts. They just use the old designs, but now they're probably going to be like, oh, hang on, maybe we don't need to do that.
Yeah, okay, see, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that might be the case. Yeah, that's true. What's more important in gaming laptops in general, in your opinion? Is it the CPU or is it the GPU? Like if you look at it in the short term and also in the long term?
Yeah, I think it's the GPU because, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what's actually rendering the frames. And like if you're buying a laptop, you know, you can spend like, I don't know, $100, $200 to upgrade from like an i7 to an i9. That's not really going to make that much of a difference, especially if it's like H series, because I think they have the same cores and threads. It's just a single core clock speed boost. With HX, you get, I think it's double the E cores, but like, you know, if you've already got 8P and 8 E cores, I'd argue that's probably enough, and you'd be better off spending that budget towards like getting the next tier of GPU, especially with most laptops. Well, not most, but I think 1440p definitely got a lot more common this year. So having that extra GPU power, I think, would be more beneficial.
Okay, that's interesting. I was expecting you kind of to say CPU in the long run because, you know, my experience was like, of course, obviously, if you have a 4050 and or a 4080, the 4080 is going to perform much better. But if you just go from like 4050 to 4060 or 4060 to 4070, then in some games in the future, it's like let's say 5 years in the future, then the slower CPU could become more of an issue because you know, when the GPU is the bottleneck, you can't just load the graphics, and when the CPU is becoming the bottleneck, you're stuck. You can't do anything, and it might be sometimes that a slow Ryzen 5 CPU could actually become a bottleneck over a faster i9 or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. I guess I just think from my testing, when I compare CPUs and GPUs, we see a bigger difference in terms of like performance from going the higher tier GPU. So I just think going the higher tier GPU will probably be a better experience in the future. But I mean, I could be wrong. That's just what I think.
So you would pick a, let's say, a 4060 with an i5 over a 4050 with an i9, for example. If that doesn't exist, but
it does exist. You can get that. But yes,
4050 with i9.
That's what I would pick.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I saw a few for sale over Black Friday. I can't remember what they were, but I remember thinking, that's a bit strange.
Okay. All right. Good. That's interesting. Do you think that the price performance value of laptops like has increased in general over the last few years and they became like better overall compared to desktop PCs?
It's hard for me to say because I don't really... So the only time I do like cost per frame, for example, is in like the comparisons where it's like A versus B. I've never really gone through like everything and been like, how does it compare for all the stuff? Because it's hard to manage that type of thing when prices change all the time. That said, I definitely think where we're at today with 40 series is quite good. Like just comparing it to last year, it was like $1,000 to get a good RTX 3060 laptop. Now this year over Black Friday, $1,000 you could get a 4070 in like the Asus TUF F15. I think we've actually got it on a deal site at the moment for $980. And I mean, it's not like the best laptop or anything, but to get like full power RTX 4070 performance for what you could get just a year ago with the 3060, I think that's a pretty nice improvement. Even when you're not counting things like frame generation and all that stuff, just like the raw performance is a decent improvement. Plus you also get like extra 2 gigs of VRAM. I know a lot of people are still saying like, oh, 8 gigs isn't enough, but you know, same price, extra 2 gigs of VRAM, decent performance boost, more features. I don't think that's that much to complain about. It's not too bad.
I was more like referring to like, for example, 10 years ago, it was almost, from what I remember, it was almost impossible to get a good gaming laptop which would be able to compete with a desktop PC in nearly the same price range, you know.
Yeah, well, that's definitely the case. I remember when I got my first laptop in 2008. I still have it. It had it had Nvidia graphics, but like, you know, compared to a desktop, it couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
So at least, like, I still get comments all the time that are like, "Oh, you can't even game on a laptop. Just get a desktop."
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that you can play basically any modern game, high settings, like even 1440p with like a mid-range 4060, 4070.
Absolutely.
I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Like, of course, it's a whole different discussion that laptop and desktop parts have the same names and is misleading and whatever. But the fact that those mid-range parts on the laptop side can even do that, I think is pretty good. It's definitely not something that we had all those years ago.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I remember like 2 years ago when we had this hardware shortage, when like PC hardware got really expensive. I remember there actually have been some combinations where you could probably even get the same or even better performance with a laptop because the GPUs have been so expensive. Yeah, that was kind of crazy.
Yeah, at least until people started mining on laptops.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So, my subscriber John Freeman was asking, and I highly support the question, do you think that laptop companies should use different naming schemes, like, so it would be easier for customers to distinguish between the production date and the performance of laptops? Like, for example, an Acer Nitro 5 you doesn't say anything. You don't know when it's from and how good it will be.
Yeah. I think the best example of that being really annoying is Razer. They kind of do like the Apple move where they're like, Razer Blade 14, early 2023.
Okay.
I mean, I guess... Well, so they do list that type of thing, like the year, which is useful. But when you actually look at the product, or on Razer's website, it'll just say like, the new Razer Blade 14. And you're like, okay, but what does this mean? I think specifying the year is decent. I mean, I can tell, or at least get a rough idea, just by looking at like what CPU and GPU it has in it. But obviously, like normal people just going to a store and stuff who don't, look at laptops all the time, they're not going to have any idea.
Especially for people that are not into it, they don't.
Yeah,
they have no clue.
They have no idea. I think the best we can hope for is like kind of like what I do on our laptop review videos. So I would do like Acer Nitro 5, then in brackets 2023. Because I guess most of the laptops do have like a more specific model, but it'll just be like a bunch of like letters and numbers that means nothing to like two people that are searching it. So it's not really worth putting that in like a video title when no one knows what it means.
So why don't they just like use numbers like the iPhone or like the PlayStation or something like that? That would make it a lot easier.
Yeah, I guess every year it's like a new Nitro 6, Nitro 7. I guess that could be a solution, but then I suppose every year they would have to try and market their new Nitro, whereas if they just market like Nitro 5, everyone kind of understands what a Nitro 5 is, but it's the newer one.
Yeah, it's true. You kind of know in what price range it is from the name. That's true.
Yeah. And then next year you're like, well, what's a Nitro 6? I don't know if there's a good solution. I think it's not too bad as long as like the year of the model is also specified, so then you can kind of get an idea. But then at the same time, you might get like a 2023 model, but they're using like a last gen GPU, but unless you look at the specs, you don't know that. But it might have like a 2023 CPU, so they can still be like, oh, it's a 2023 model, but then you're getting like 2021 performance or something.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's kind of unfair. Yeah. With all the experience that you've got in your over 1,100 videos that you've posted, are you still sometimes surprised how well, or in your point of view, like disappointing a video turns out to work for the people? Or are you usually able to predict the success of most videos that you post?
I think I've definitely gotten better over time, but I mean, it still happens all the time. Like I'll have a video ready that I think, oh, this is going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to love this. And then, it's like a 10 out of 10, which on YouTube means out of the last 10 you posted, it's ranked 10th. So it's performing the worst. Yeah, it happens. But like, I mean, I guess it's happened so much that like it doesn't really affect me. I guess I'll kind of be like, oh, I thought that would be better, but then I kind of just like, okay, get on with it. But then it also helps that I've had videos that do poorly initially in the past, but then you check them in like a month's time and it will be way better. So sometimes you've also just got to be patient and just let them go, let YouTube, let it find the correct audience for the video.
Do you think there's almost always some kind of luck involved in that? What if you get picked up by the algorithm?
So the way I like to think about the algorithm, which definitely exists, is I replace algorithm with audience. So I just think like, well, what would my audience like? Would they want to see some video about how to stop my laptop from overheating and melting? Or would they want to see something, I don't know, trying to think of something no one would care about. I don't have a good example. Yeah, I just try to think about like what people would want to see. And, if you read the comments of the videos, you kind of get a general idea of what people are after, the questions they have, that type of thing. And I guess just over time, you get better at having an understanding of what people care about, what they want to know. And yeah, it's less of like a shotgun approach and just throwing out whatever and seeing what sticks. And you can kind of start focusing on what your audience cares about, which I guess for me is gaming laptops.
Yeah, sure. Would you sometimes...
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, because we used to cover like, everything. We used to do like monitor videos, motherboard videos, and it was just all over the place.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Would you sometimes like to do other stuff, but you know it's not gonna work or people won't click it?
It doesn't really happen that much. So personally for me, I prefer like desktop hardware. So I like doing the desktop CPU and GPU comparisons. And honestly, it's way easier compared to laptops because you don't have to buy like multiple laptops and try and get the right components. You can just have a desktop and be like, oh, I'll just pull one card out and put another in. It's way easier. Most of the content I watch on YouTube myself is desktop. So I watch a lot of like Hardware Unboxed and Gamers Nexus. But, I'm in the gaming laptop area, which, I mean, we can talk about later if you want, but I got into it because, it was a bit easier. There was less people in that space. But at the end of the day, I still like doing desktop stuff. So, occasionally when like new desktop CPUs and GPUs come out, I'm still probably going to make a comparison on the channel just because that's what I'm personally interested in. The video doesn't do too well initially because, a lot of laptop people don't care as much about that. But in most cases, if I look back at the videos, after like 12 months, they've done quite well because people are looking for that information.
Yeah, they're just some kind of videos. They still, people still watch them like 2 years later because they just want to know about comparing these two parts. Yeah, they just use the search and still find the video.
Yeah, you just have to accept that they're going to be more of a slow burn.
So, considering the comments that you get, how often do you read comments? Like, I'm sure you get like hundreds of comments a day, and can you estimate how many % of the comments that you get you actually see or read?
So until about 300 or 400,000 subscribers, I was personally replying to every single new comment that came in, and it took a lot of time. These days, I only read the top comments like the next day of the video to kind of get a feel for it. But that said, so I work with my partner, so she works on the channel with me. She reads every single new comment.
Okay.
So every day she'll go through them and she'll read them until she gets to the point where she was at the day before. And I guess she would have a better sense of what's going on in that regard. So what she would do is, if there's like a trend of like a lot of people asking for a certain thing, then she will tell me about it.
Cool.
Or if there's like someone with like a specific problem that she might not be able to answer, she'll send it to me in Discord and then I'll reply to it. So I think that saves a lot of time when, it's just not practical to reply to everyone anymore. But yeah, every new comment still gets read by the team, I guess you could say.
Okay, cool. Okay, that's good to know. Cool. And you do this as a full-time job now, right? So
Yeah, that's right.
how many hours do you work in a week in general, on average? Is it even possible to tell or to estimate?
Well, I definitely don't track it, but it really varies depending on the workload. So, like last week, I didn't work on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday because it was like just after Black Friday. So, Black Friday is the busiest time of the year for us, doing all the end of year videos. So, after that, I had a little bit of a break. And, going into December, I think I've only got 1 or 2 more videos for the rest of the year. So, it'll probably be much quieter.
Cool.
But normally, so like last year I was doing 3 videos a week. This year I was trying to focus on cutting that down to 2 videos a week. So last year, if I was awake, I was working on the channel. So like at least 12 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then after like a month or two, I would start feeling like, oh, I could use a break. And then I might have like a 1-day weekend. Some days I'll treat myself to a 2-day weekend. But this year I've been trying to be better with that. So there have definitely been weeks where I just don't have a weekend and I keep working. But I have been trying to like actually make myself stop and have Saturday, Sunday off, stop working at dinner time, that kind of thing. But yeah, for the last few weeks, it has been really busy and I've been working most weekends. I start working from like, I don't know, like 9 a.m. until I go to bed at 10 p.m. sometimes. So
Compared to your old job, you've been working in IT, right? Like, I think security related or?
Yeah. So my previous job was penetration tester.
Okay. So would you say that what you're doing now is, do you even consider it like work, or do you enjoy it more and it's easier to work that much?
Yeah, it depends on what I'm working on. But in most cases, it doesn't really feel like work, which I think is why I can just keep doing it all the time because it's just what I want to be doing. Yeah, sometimes, if you've been going hard at it for like 5 weeks straight, yeah, you need a break.
Yeah.
That happens. But I like that there's no one telling me what to do. It's like at my last job, yeah, it was kind of fun to like, try and hack into websites and stuff and get paid to do that as a job. But at the end of the day, you've still got a boss telling you like, okay, you've got to write a report and send it out to this client and do all this other garbage that's just not the fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's definitely stuff with this job that's not fun, but, I guess just not having anyone controlling you or telling you what to do.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that makes sense because it's like your choice to do what you want, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. I like it's the same for me. I still have a main job. I just do this on my on evenings, on the weekends, but it's the same for me.
Yeah.
Like you choose to do that, and it's more fun because it's like it's not comparable to work really, even though it's sometimes hard work.
Yeah, and it can be rough trying to do it with the full-time job like you've got at the moment. I remember what that was like.
Yeah, I mean,
that could be busy.
I'm not doing comparable. It's not comparable the amount of videos I do, but still, it takes a lot of time from the free time that I have. And
yeah, definitely.
So when did you decide to focus that, or when did you decide to do this as your main job? When did that happen?
I can't actually remember when I quit the last job. It was either 2018 or 2019. Might have been 2019. Yeah, basically it got to the point where the income we were getting from YouTube it wasn't quite matching the full-time job, but it was enough where, over time I could see that it was increasing. And I thought, if I make the jump and I have more time to spend on this, it's probably going to keep going up and then it'll probably be fine. Yeah, personally, I felt really uneasy, I guess, about making the transition. So it was really my partner who pushed me to doing it. She was like, it's fine. Just quit your job.
Okay.
It's not going to be a problem. But I was really nervous about doing it. But yeah, after doing it, I never looked back.
Okay. And she's helping you in full time as well, or?
Yeah. So, well, I guess she's more like a casual employee. I think she works 5 or 6 hours a day. Just, yeah, whatever is needed in terms of checking comments, managing the deals site, doing testing for laptop reviews. But we don't have any of those at the moment, so yeah, it's pretty empty, I guess.
Okay. My subscriber Steve Lowe, and it's just a quick topic change before we get back to laptops, was asking, do you actually have like a favorite gaming handheld? Did you use one of the recent handhelds, and are you actually using one, like for like the Steam Deck or the Legion Go or the ROG Ally? Are you into that?
Yeah, so we did a couple of videos on the Ally, and we actually have the Legion Go here at the moment. I don't know if we're going to do any videos with the Go, because it's kind of, I mean, it's different to the Ally, but the videos I did with the Ally was like laptop versus Ally. I don't know if there's really any point doing like laptop versus Legion Go, because it's kind of like the same video. But as for playing games, so I'm pretty much always at home. I don't really, like, I'm not, going to work on the bus or something like that. So I don't need anything like that. So for me, I would just play on my desktop because I've got much better screen, keyboard, mouse, good performance. So I don't really need that type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
But I really like the Nintendo Switch. So I have an OLED version, and that's just for like playing Pokemon games. But that said, I would really like a Nintendo Switch 2 with some nicer hardware.
Okay. Yeah, you don't really have like the occasions to use one of these handhelds. They are not that much, right? So if you don't travel, yeah, of course. Okay, I get that.
Yeah, I don't really need it.
Yeah. So what do you like? What do you like best about being a YouTube content creator? What's your favorite part about this?
I think it's just what I was talking about before. It's the flexibility, just being able to be like, this is what I want to do, and then I go and do that. And it's pretty cool that you can make a living doing that. And just finding out how like different things work, like, if there's a new CPU or GPU release, just being one of the first to test that out and see how it compares against other stuff. I think that's pretty fun.
Yeah, what made you do hardware tests in the first place?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I've always been interested in like tech stuff. I remember years and years ago, like just going to like the Apple website and speccing out a laptop to, like max spec, and it was like $10,000 or whatever. And this was like 15 years ago when laptops were garbage. And I just remember thinking, man, it's so cool that that this is even something that exists. Obviously, I couldn't afford it or anything like that, but I just always thought, it'd be so cool just to like get these things and like cover them. This was like 15 years ago, I like registered a domain to start doing like written reviews about tech and stuff, but apart from registering the domain, it never took off and never happened. So that never went anywhere, but I guess the interest was always there.
Yeah, okay. So do you think that your former job as a IT security guy that has helped you in what you're doing right now?
I guess it's allowed me to think more technical and like, so before doing the IT security, I was a system administrator, so there was a lot of troubleshooting in that. And I also had a blog where I would post like solutions to problems. So if I was trying to like install some piece of software and there was a problem and no one had a solution, I would solve it and then share that. And I guess just that process of creating content was probably pretty useful. Because I think I wrote like 300 posts. So just like getting those reps in of creating content was probably useful when it came time to make videos, because I guess I was hopefully somewhat okay at writing. So that was probably a bit of a benefit. And yeah, just having that technical mindset, because like we were talking about earlier with game benchmarks, just having all these weird problems, just like having to troubleshoot problems and get things working. That's hard.
But everything related to editing the videos and doing all the thumbnail stuff and everything around the channel, you just do that by yourself and trained yourself to do this on your own.
Yeah, basically. I've always used Photoshop. Like since I was a kid, I guess I liked Photoshop. I did like a digital photography course in high school.
Okay.
So I was kind of always into it. But yeah, definitely wasn't very good. I mean, even if I look at like thumbnails and stuff I made 2 years ago, I'll kind of cringe. So,
Really?
but the way I look at it is, if you don't see your older stuff like that, then you're not really improving. So, hopefully, it means I'm getting better.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, I see. That's true. Okay, so with having like over 600,000 subscribers, have you ever been recognized in public?
So it's happened a few times, but it's mostly at like tech events, like Computex or CES, that type of thing. It's only happened once outside of an event, and it was actually really weird because I was in Melbourne, which is like a 1 hour flight from where I live, and I was having lunch at a restaurant with my girlfriend,
Okay.
and there was this guy who said, "Hey, I watch your videos." But not only that, so sometimes I sell laptops on eBay when I don't need them anymore.
Yeah.
I've only sold like maybe 5 or 6 in the whole time I've been doing this. And these are laptops I've bought myself that I don't need anymore. And this person was someone who had bought one of those laptops. And I thought that was just so weird. Like, not only is it someone who watches the channel,
Okay.
it's also like one of 6 people who have ever bought one of my used laptops.
Okay, that's crazy.
It's pretty random.
That's insane. Yeah. Okay. What a coincidence.
Yeah, apart from that, like I mentioned earlier, I guess I don't go out too much. I just
Yeah,
stay
of
at
course,
home.
that
There's
would
not
be-
much opportunity.
Yeah. Okay. I see.
And I don't really live in like a populated area. So I think my city is like less than 400,000 people.
Yeah. Well, it's not that small, but okay. I get. Yeah, you would have to go outside and be where people are, of course, to be recognized. Yeah, I get that. You seem to be very thorough and detailed in your reviews. Would you say that you have always been like that, or is that just something that grew on you while over the years as a YouTuber?
Yeah, I think I've always been like that. You just reminded me of some story my mum told me a few years ago. Apparently, when I was a kid, I was like doing some sort of painting in class or something, and the teacher was saying that I was being too much of a perfectionist, and that's basically the end of the story. Apparently, I just cared way too much about whatever this thing was, but I think that's kind of just how I've always been. Just like, I want to get this right. I want to do it as best as I can.
I think that's one of your most unique selling points, actually. People love that
Yeah.
you're being so thorough and detailed in your reviews.
Yeah, thanks. Well, that's also that's one of the reasons for it as well, because I thought, you see other people like Gamers Nexus doing that same approach, and not everyone is doing that. So I think it's a good way to stand out,
Yeah.
but I also think it's really beneficial to everyone as well. So
Yeah, of course.
win-win.
It's on the other side, it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, that's true.
Are there actually any games that you're playing for fun, like not testing them, but just for your own sake? Besides
Yeah.
Pokemon on the Switch, like PC games?
Yeah, there are some, not too many. I usually play like maybe 3 games a year. So this year for me, I just finished the new Assassin's Creed.
Mhm.
I also played Starfield and Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah, I played that as well.
I think there was another one. I'm pretty sure there was another one, but yeah, those are the main games that I played this year. So
So you
definitely
finished
not
them.
a lot.
Playing means that you were able to finish
Yeah.
them. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, they're completed. It's just hard because there's not that much time. So yeah, it depends. Like something like Starfield, took quite a lot of time
Yeah.
to get through. And yeah, if I'm working, it depends on like what videos I've got. Because if I need to work for like the whole week, then it just means I don't play games. I mean, obviously I could slow down and publish less videos and play games and have more fun, but I prefer just to get the work done. And once everything's done, then I can have fun. But I also have to acknowledge that, when you work for yourself like this, realistically, everything is never going to be finished. There's always going to be something else you can do.
Absolutely.
And so it's up to you to kind of like put your foot down and be like, okay, that's enough for now. Let's have a break.
I mean, I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3, which it takes like 120 hours. So I've not been able to publish any videos for like 2 months, but it's like the only big game I played this year. But it was great fun. It was worth it. But still, at the end of the day, I'm thinking like, I could have been productive today. So then after a while, it just starts biting me, and I want to go creating again.
Yeah, I get that. Like I have over, I think it's like 21,000 hours in RuneScape between 2001 and 2018 or 2019 maybe. Anyway, basically the channel started picking up at the same time I stopped playing that. So I don't know if that's coincidence.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Okay. So how much of your PC time that you use a PC is actually on a desktop, or and how much is on a laptop?
So normally it's pretty much all desktop because like where I'm sitting now, this is where I just do all my work. So if I'm going to be stuck here, I might as well have something that gives me the best possible performance. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, sure.
Though that said, before I had this current machine next to me, I had a Threadripper build that I built in 2017, and then it I can't remember when it started dying, like 2022 maybe. Anyway, I ended up using a laptop for like 8 to 10 months. So I just connected the laptop to like my screens and keyboard and mouse. So it was basically just docked. And honestly, the performance from that was better than the Threadripper PC. So it was actually an upgrade, even though it was a laptop. But yeah, normally I don't actually need the laptop unless I'm traveling. And if I'm traveling, if it's like a holiday for fun or something, I'll just take a MacBook because it's got better battery life.
Okay.
But I only need to take like a powerful laptop with good CPU and GPU performance if I plan on video editing. So for like an event like CES or Computex. But that's only like twice a year.
Okay, but you don't bring like laptops to your holidays for gaming?
Nah.
No gaming on holidays.
Yeah, the way I see it is like if I'm traveling somewhere, I guess I'm going there to do something. So if I want to play a game, I mean, I could just stay home and play a game. I don't need to pay for like a hotel or flights or anything. I could just do that at home. It'll probably be more comfortable because I'll have my full setup and snacks.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, that's fair enough. Probably the last question for tonight. We're always like seeing you wearing these band shirts in basically all of your videos. So, what's your favorite band, Jarrod?
Yeah, probably Insomnium.
Insomnium? That's like, is that metal, death metal, black metal?
It's more melodic.
Melodic.
Melodic metal. My favorite album is probably Winter's Gate, just because it has 7 tracks. I think it goes for like 42 minutes or something. And just each song just like transitions into the next one. And the whole album kind of just feels like one long song. And I just really like that. It's nice.
So it's all metal. The bands, the t-shirts that you wear is all metal bands, right?
Yeah. I listen to a lot of other music. It's actually kind of all over the place. So along with metal, I also like pop punk. It's like Blink-182, Sum 41, that kind of thing. Not so much lately, but I also listen to like hardstyle, a lot of other electronic music, like happy hardcore. Then there's also like Australian hip hop, which is just completely different. So it's kind of varied, I suppose.
Yeah, okay.
The metal shirts are definitely the coolest though. Most other band merch is kind of boring.
Okay. All right, I'd say we like end this video over here. Like, thank you so much for taking the time to answer all these questions and for joining me in this interview.
No
I
problem.
hope you had some fun and yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
All right. Thank you, Jarrod. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.